With the site audit, you also have an opportunity to go ahead and create a report from an audit. Jumping ahead of myself in terms of the reporting, but just to stay on the same tack, with the report you can select or deselect whichever items are appropriate, depending on how granular you want to report. If this is a report that's going to a client or to a superior, you may not need to show them the full granularity. You might want to just focus on the specific recommendations, titles, headings, top level items, the higher priority items that are missing or that need to be addressed. And this report, once you run it, so you make your selections, you run the report, it gets produced in one of two formats, either as a PDF for sending along to someone or as an Excel doc. The Excel more as a working doc, so that it breaks down each one of the sections of the report, of the audit, and provides you with a detailed list of, again, all of the different aspects of that audit, so that you can go in and you can make adjustments. You can use that Excel doc as your working doc, as I mentioned. Okay, we've got about 15 minutes left to tackle reports, so I'm going to go through that quickly, and we've sort of started here with the site audit report. We're already within the report section, so you'll see down the left-hand side a whole number of reports that are available to you. We're going to focus primarily today on the web presence report. There are a couple of different varieties of our competition report, and then several keyword reports if you're looking for advanced or more comprehensive keyword reporting outside of what you can already get within the web presence report. So let's start with that. The web presence report is really the primary sort of Uber report, if you will, that you can run to get a general sense of how a presence is performing. And its configuration is similar to the others in that, first off, you can give the report a name. You can customize the standard name that we provide. You can choose a time period, and we have some default time periods available, and or you can use a custom date range. So if you're looking for a very specific time period you want to report on, you'll also be able to choose a comparison time period. And for the most part, a majority of our clients are running comparative reports. So I want to compare, this month to last month, or, this quarter to last quarter, or, last month to the same month a year prior. You have the ability to go in and set up all of those different date ranges to see those comparatives and see how things are progressing or trending over time. You can then, as I mentioned earlier, focus this report based on a keyword cluster. So if I only want to report on my focus English keywords, or my branded keywords, or perhaps any of my alternative language keywords, French or German or Portuguese or Russian, I would choose the appropriate cluster to report on. And then you choose which of the sections, and these are the primary sections are turned on by default. You can select or deselect whichever ones are appropriate. So there is some analytics data, including page level reporting, and you can report on top pages by page view or entrance. So again, select or deselect whichever sections are appropriate. Within this report, we do offer some paid AdWords data that can be incorporated, provided the AdWords account is connected to the GA account that you've authorized within gShift. You'll be able to pull in campaign data, specific campaign data from your AdWords accounts. And that can get interesting, seeing the paid data side by side with some of your organic or other SEO related data. We have a social section. You can break down social signals and analytics and social metrics. So those would be page type signals versus the network specific signals. So likes, shares, and follows that happen on the networks versus the likes and shares that occur on the website. And again, turn on or off whichever are appropriate, and depending on whether or not you have access to or those social networks authenticated. You can select to include some competition data, show the top competitor and or backlink data within this particular report. We don't currently have more detailed competition data within this report. Because it was a large report already, we are working towards getting some more competition data in it. But because it was a large report already, we decided to break out and have a couple of other competition reports that are available to generate separately outside of this web presence report. But there is some basic competition data available. You can also include keyword position data. So breakdown of keyword position distribution across specific or all of your engines, as well as the more detailed top keyword positions for up to 3 different engines. So you can choose whichever engines you want to specifically report on, whether those be national, local, or mobile. And you can include keywords that aren't found in the top 50. You can include search volume if you want to turn any or all of those options off. If it's a local presence that you're reporting on, a local position summary, which will break down the mapped listings. Whether or not you want to incorporate offsite content, provided you're following offsite content as part of the reporting package. You can follow or report on backlinks, and this is purely a backlink count, including any that have been created for the given period. And then, assuming you're using or leveraging activities, you can report on those activities, including the description and time spent for those activities. So that time spent is something that can be tracked within the system as activities are performed and completed. The time spent can be tracked and then ultimately reported on here. Having configured the report, you have a couple of options. You can either run now, or you can schedule for later. And actually, if you schedule for later, the configuration is going to change slightly in that you're going to be able to choose a different time period. Either the last 7 days, the last 30 days, week over week, month over month, or month over month, year over year. And so, for instance, if we wanted to look at last month versus last month of last year, provided we had this web presence set up for that in duration of time, we can provide that year-long comparison. Again, our keyword cluster, our selections have already been made, but now we're going to be able to put in our scheduling options. So we're going to have a report name. We'll set up a standard report name, call this the monthly report or the year-over-year report. We can choose the format that we want to run the report in, whether it be PDF or Word. With Word, you obviously have the option of then pulling in other potential data from other sources. Email address, and in this case, it really can be any email address, either users of the system or not. If this is an agency and you wanted to have the report delivered directly to your client, you could plug their email address in there. And then the schedule, when do you want this report to run? Now, presumably, if it's month over month, you're going to want to run it on a specific day of the month. You'll notice that we don't include either day 1 or 2 of the month because we recommend waiting at least 3 days to make sure that all of the data, particularly Google Analytics data, reconciles. There can be a lag of up to 48 hours with Google Analytics data that's delivered by the API. So, typically we're running these web presence reports. Clients are running web presence reports anywhere from 3, 4, 5 days into the following month. And so that schedule report can be generated. I should mention, if I haven't already, that it's absolutely can be white labeled, and we'll see that here in a moment. So if I've scheduled the report and or have run it now, it gets generated in 3 formats. And I'm going to go drill down and look at a specific year-over-year report. It gets run in either an HTML, PDF, or Word format. With the HTML, so if you've generated a report on a scheduled basis, it gets emailed to you that your report is ready. You can log in and review the report in HTML format, as well as annotate the report. So you can add in annotations. So I'll create a new set of annotations. And what a lot of clients, particularly agency clients, typically do is they'll create a set of annotations that they'll repurpose on a month-to-month basis. So they're not having to retype them every month. So for instance, for summary and conversion or sessions and conversions, sessions are up this month, conversions are up or down, and then each month following, we're adjusting in whatever direction is appropriate. So again, white label report, so your agency becomes your logo. We include the name of the presence, the time period and comparison time period, the keyword cluster that's being focused on, and then the annotations provide us with these fields to add in our insights. And the report gets generated with a summary and whatever particular sections we've ticked off as to be included within this report. So an analytics overview, in this case, breaking down traffic and conversions, breaking down traffic by channel, a mobile breakdown. Because we had two websites, we do that again for the Global Sawmill site versus the blog site we saw. We have top referral traffic, and then our keyword position breakdown or our keyword position distribution. So how many keywords are we maintaining or positions do we maintain on page 1 versus 2 to 3 versus 3 to 5 for a specific engine versus all of the engines we're tracking. Then we get down into the more specifics around the top keyword positions maintained in up to 3 different engines. Because this is a comparative report, you'll see throughout that the first number represents the current time period, so this month versus this month a year ago, in this case, because we're doing a year-over-year report. And we've included the search volume so we can get a sense of the quality or of that particular or each of these particular keywords. We break down some offsite content, social signals, referrals, and what percentage of traffic it's delivering. We have some competition data, and then our top competitor in terms of keyword positions. As mentioned, more competition data available through the other competition reports. So let me just jump over there quickly. So in looking at competition specific reports, the competition report very much focuses on specific keyword positions and position distribution. The comparative between this particular report and competitive visibility is the competitive visibility is looking at visibility score and net gains and losses over time. So it's not focusing specifically on individual keywords, where the competition report certainly does. The competition report also provides a backlink comparison, so how many backlinks versus the competitors, and a technical comparison, how many index pages and or what sort of comparison do we see in terms of the age of the domain. So this particular report, we go in and take a quick view. And I'm going to get down to one that was run more recently. Similar to the competition section we saw previously. So we're looking at the presence for a particular time period and comparison time period, particular cluster of keywords, and then multiple search engines and versus multiple competitors. So this report, again, very focused on individual keywords, where our presence is or where our content is in terms of positioning versus competitors. Are we ahead or behind, and which particular competitors? It provides us a quick backlink comparison, and then the other couple of technical items I mentioned before, index pages and age of domain. That report compares to our competitive visibility report. Fewer things to select here, but really it's focused again around time period, keyword cluster, and you can choose again up to 10 different competitors. That report, to give you an example, again, is higher level, so it's looking at the entire cluster. Rather than drilling down to individual keywords, it's simply telling us how many positions do we maintain in the number 1 position, 1 to 10, 11 to 30, 31 to 50. What's our visibility score relative to our competitors? Are our positions up, down? Have we seen a gain or a net loss over time? And then we break that down over specific time periods, again, versus our competitors. So this is meant to give more of a relative sense of how you're performing versus your competitors. So we look, for instance, at visibility score versus competitors. So if you're looking to sort of defocus attention from individual keywords, this is just a better, higher level sense of how a presence is performing, again, relative to the competition. I'm looking at the clock, and I know we had an hour and a half booked today, so I'm going to end there, and then we do have a number of different keyword position reports that are available, including a keyword position history, which shows position over a 13-month period, or positions over a 13-month period for, again, a given cluster of keywords. And we can absolutely go into these in more detail offline, but I would like to stop and go and see if there are any outstanding questions. I'm sure Brendan has been in the background answering questions furiously as they've been entered. But I'll certainly open it up. I'll jump out and see if there's been any additional questions that need to be answered. Maybe I'll just take a look at the last couple here. How often are we required to verify Search Console and social access for each presence? That shouldn't have to happen all that often. I know that from time to time those connections are lost. We certainly do try and stay on top of both the Search Console and social access. A lot of times those are out of control. We're connecting via API, and if things should happen to change at either the social networks or from a Google perspective, we unfortunately have to react to that change, or it requires a re-verification. So something we are cognizant of, and we do try and stay on top of. So apologies if that's become an annoyance. And then a question about Search Console data being stored or pulled in live, and can we get more than 90 days of data eventually? We are storing that data beyond 90 days. We can have an offline conversation about the availability of that beyond sort of a 90-day period. There was another question up here about the audit. Can we use the audit for competitor sites? Absolutely. The audit is actually available under the competition section. So when you go to the competition section, you see site audit. When you go to create a new audit, the opportunity there to select the competitor site that you want to run the audit against. So those are automatically populated, or you can again add in a custom URL. So there's really no limit to which domains you can run an audit on. All right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I will thank absolutely everyone for your time and attention today. This session has been recorded, so we'll be sending out the recording to all registrants. As mentioned, you'll also be receiving links to our certification questionnaires, and upon filling out those questionnaires, you'll be provided with certification, and that includes a link to a certificate which you can use and proudly display within your LinkedIn profile or wherever else you choose. For agencies that go through the full certification, we're providing badges as well. If you want to include those or add those to your websites, you're more than welcome to. Let me just leave with one last slide, which I had up previously. Any follow-on questions at any time, you can always reach out to support@gshiftlabs.com. Any feature requests can go to feedback@gshiftlabs.com, and those come directly to myself and our VP technology. So we're constantly monitoring those incoming emails. You also always have access to our help center, which is listed there at the top. And as a follow-on to today's session, most specifically the first section that we covered, you can link there to our Getting Started guide, which goes through the setup and configuration onboarding of a new web presence. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. I hope you found value in the session. We'll be getting the recording out, and looking forward to talking to most, if not all of you, on Thursday.